I want to start working with layers a little bit more now, because that way I can isolate things. If I go live coloring these, they're always going to hop on this layer. If I go to use the blob tool, it's always going to kind of want to jump to this layer. So at least when it's on its own layer and I have layers above it, I can lock it out. I'm now done with my base tones and ready to go on to something like, oh, maybe my tints. I got my color scheme down, but how do I add tints? Maybe this red is dark. How do I get a darker red? If you go up here, because I have this red loaded in my palette, I get all the darker reds and tints and shades. Isn't that nice? They're all based upon my triax shades. You know, here's shades right here of that. I could choose that one. And notice it doesn't let me go outside the harmony rules. So here I got my complementary colors, monochromic. Okay, very nice stuff. I'm going to go to shades. And now I'm getting a darker shade compared to that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start using my blob tool a little bit more. And go in here and probably shadow one side of this. This one I'm going to choose just a lighter color maybe. Right about here. Let's see if that's still dark. Yep, it's still dark. Good. Okay, number one rule, look at what happened. See how when I switch colors, it's wanted to switch over to the outline, preventing me from getting the original color I wanted to begin with. Okay, so be careful with that. Be very careful. Another thing be careful with is when you have a different color in your palette, this could change sometimes. Okay, obviously that must be the same color. Again. So it's always an annoying battle with this thing. That's the only thing I just can't stand about Illustrator is the fact that, you know, it wants to hop colors all the time. There we go. Okay, now if you look at this, I just overpowered my outline. See? So because this is on a new layer, I can do something that I couldn't do if it wasn't. And that is select it very carefully by going like this, select, and it selects everything on that layer because this one's locked out. I can now go into my transparency settings and set it to anything I want. Let's say I want, well, first zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe I want a multiply layer. Multiply layers make everything dark and still keep within the same shade group. I got my outline back that way. I myself like to multiply stuff, but I also like to lower the opacity value kind of low. That way it's not such a strong effect. Because you can see, you know, multiply almost doubles the darkness on things. Here's my normal. And now if I go to multiply, it's already making it darker, which it was dark to begin with. So I'll do one of these. If something falls out of the shade range, kind of like this, I can either A, erase it, or B, go into a tool called the warp tool. And I can just kind of push this up. To make the warp tool smaller, you hold Alt and Shift at the same time and then move it, click it a couple times, drag it, and then it makes it smaller. That way I can go like this. See how I can push that up, and now it doesn't fall within my outside my outline. This one doesn't give me enough, so I could push this out if I wanted to. So everything that has to do with darkness, I usually use a multiply and opacity for it. And when it comes to lightening things, you're looking at something like overlay or soft light or lighten itself in order for that to work. So I'll kind of go through that in the next video.